Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy Black out here. So when it comes to PC gaming, I have a couple of options. My main desktop option is my gaming PC located in my spare bedroom / office. This PC has an RTX 4070 Ti Super and an AMD 7950X 3D processor, along with dual OLED monitors, one 4K and the other one is 1440p. My second option is my 2021 Asus Zephyrus G15 that has an RTX 3070 graphics card and an AMD 5900HS processor. It's a great 15-inch laptop to use on the go, but I also can plug it into my secondary desk setup in my living room. Oftentimes, I find myself traveling or wanting to get away from the desk setups and just chill on the couch and game while my partner watches a movie or Guy Fieri on the Food Network. However, setting my laptop up on the coffee table and grabbing a wireless controller and headphones can take away from the experience of just kicking my feet up and gaming, which kind of makes it feel like I'm still sitting at my desk working. So to alleviate that stress and friction, I opted to go for a PC handheld. This is where the Asus Rog Ally comes into play. Since I've been using the Rog Ally for a little over a month now, I want to answer the question that I asked myself before purchasing it, and that is the Rog Ally worth purchasing in 2025? In this video, I will go over why and how I'm using this device, and what I dislike and like about this device, and also current and future alternatives to this device. Now, with that being said, let's get straight into it. First, let's go over specs. Asus released 3 versions of the Rog Ally. The original version is the Rog Ally Z1, then they released an updated version called the Z1 Extreme, and finally the most recent version is simply called the Rog Ally X. Now the differences between the Z1 and the Z1 Extreme is mainly the processor. The Z1, as implied, features an AMD Ryzen Z1, and as you guessed, the Z1 Extreme features the updated Extreme version of the AMD processor. I won't go much deeper into the specs of the original Z1 because in today's market, I don't think it's really worth the price. Now with that being said, I'm going to focus on the Z1 Extreme versus the Ally X. Now both the Rog Ally Z1 Extreme and the Rog Ally X have a lot of similarities and a few key differences. I don't have the Rog Ally X here with me, but I'm going to go over some of the similarities anyway. First, both handhelds have the same exact Z1 Extreme processor. They also have the same screen resolution and mostly the same ergonomics. Asus did update the Ally X thumbsticks and the placement of the rear buttons along with the bottom edges that are more rounded off, but that's about it as far as ergonomics go. The primary differences that exist between the X and the Z1 Extreme is the battery size, the ports, and the memory configuration. The Ally X has double the battery capacity at 80 watt hours versus the 40 watt hour battery that is inside the Z1 Extreme. It also has 8 gigabytes more memory, giving you a total of 24 gigabytes of system memory. Asus has also decided to ditch its proprietary XGM connector in exchange for an additional Type-C port that supports the Thunderbolt 4 spec. Lastly, the Ally X supports a full-size 2280 NVMe SSD versus the smaller 2230 SSD that's inside the Z1 Extreme. Now with the specs out of the way, let's talk about the main reason why I'm making this video, and that's pricing. I know some of this is old information, so you may be asking why am I making a video about this so late in the game? Well, like I said, I wanted to talk about the pricing of these devices. Now, the Rog Ally has some nice upgrades and you will pay for them starting at a price point of around $799 USD for the 1TB model and about $899 for the 2TB model. Whereas the Z1 Extreme is sold at $649 for the 512 gigabytes of storage that comes with it. Now, with these price differences for a brand new device, I would definitely opt for a Rog Ally X over the Z1 Extreme. After all, you're getting an improvement of up to 2 hours of battery life as opposed to 58 minutes on the Z1 Extreme, plus you get 100% more storage and an overall upgraded device in general. So why am I recommending the Z1 Extreme? Well, that's where the used or open box market comes into play. If you look at the differences in specs between both devices, Would you be willing to pay half the price of a new Ally X for a used or open box Z1 Extreme? Let me know down in the comments what you think. For me, logic and price to performance would tell me yes, it's worth it. Back in January, I was able to go to my local Best Buy and purchase the Z1 Extreme for $405. Originally, when I went to the store, it was listed at $450, so I was able to save an additional $45. As of shooting this video, Best Buy currently has an open box Z1 Extreme priced as low as $337 for their fair condition item and as high as $422 for their excellent condition item. Now, the main reason why I'm comfortable purchasing an open box item from Best Buy is because they have to inspect it before they put it on the sales floor. However, Geek Squad isn't perfect, so if it turns out that something is wrong with the product, you can simply return it and get your money back. Another added benefit is that you can still purchase an extended warranty on open box items and get a replacement or your money back if they can't find a replacement for the item. Now, there are some new devices that were announced at CES and have made their way to an online or local retailer. A device that comes into mind is the One X Fly F1. Now, I personally don't own this device, but it has some great specs with its updated AMD AI 9HX370 APU and a high refresh rate of 144Hz on an OLED screen. It does come at a hefty price tag of $1,499 MSRP. That's the price of some gaming laptops such as the Asus Zephyrus G14, which has a dedicated GPU. The other alternative will be a Steam Deck. As of recording this video, the Steam Deck new with similar specs, which is the LCD model, is priced at $399 and still it only has 250 gigabytes of storage. Valve does sell refurbished Steam Deck LCD models for as low as $279 for the 64 gigabyte configuration, up to the 512 gigabyte LCD version for $359, which is a great value, but that's if you can find them in stock. Now, the Steam Deck is a good alternative, especially if you're open to purchasing one that is refurbished, but keep in mind the Steam Deck isn't as powerful as the Ally Z1 Extreme APU, which means some games won't be able to play well on it. Not to mention that if you play games like Call of Duty, you won't be able to play online due to lack of support for anti-cheat software on Linux. Now, notice I didn't mention the OLED deck, and that's because although the screen is better, it has a lower resolution at 1280 by 800 and a lower refresh rate capped at 75Hz compared to the Ally's 120Hz display. The price increase is also present on the OLED model, which starts at around $549 new or $439 refurbished. But again, that's great if you can find them in stock. Another device that has recently been released is the Lenovo Legion Go S. Although it has a bigger 8-inch screen, recent reviewers are showing that this device underperforms in the price to performance category since it retails at around $729. Battery life on the Rog Ally Z1 Extreme isn't as good as the Steam Deck's battery life. However, going back to the point of this device, at least for me, is being able to disconnect from my desk and sit back on the couch to play games. That means I'm usually not far from a power supply, and I will argue that most of us aren't too far from a power outlet either. I mean, these days, power outlets are almost everywhere we go. Whether that's on a plane, a coffee shop, or the train, we can easily connect the Ally to a power source and continue gaming. In the rare case where we aren't able to connect to a wall outlet, the additional savings you can have, especially if you purchase the Ally used, can be utilized towards purchasing a power bank. The power bank that I use is by Ugreen. It is a 2000 milliamp hour battery at up to 100 watts of charging. This is plenty enough to give the Ally at least an extra hour or more of battery and would only cost you an additional $53. So the elephant in the room is obviously storage. The Z1 Extreme has had its fair share of issues when it comes to its storage, mainly the SD card expansion. Because of the design flaw, many users of the Z1 Extreme have mentioned that their SD card expansion slots flat out fails, and some users even reported that it's destroyed their SD card in the process. For that reason, I can't recommend purchasing an SD card for it. However, that doesn't mean you can't upgrade the internal SSD to a drive with more storage space. Oddly enough, what I like most about the Ally Z1 Extreme is its limited space. Since I'm not playing large games like Call of Duty on this device, I find that 512 gigabytes is enough for me because it encourages me to finish the games that I have installed before booting up a new game. A lot of us PC gamers have games that we either haven't played or haven't finished due to what I like to call a gamer's paralysis by analysis. Oftentimes, having too many games to play has us jumping around from game to game and not really getting truly immersed in the current game we're currently playing. And that's why I sort of prefer having a limited amount of storage, but that doesn't mean you can't add more storage if you prefer to have more storage. Let's also talk about port selection, which is simple because the Z1 Extreme only has one USB Type-C port that supports up to 100 watts of charging, and that's it. Now, this alone is one of the reasons that really bummed me out about this device. Since the built-in SD card reader is a hit or miss, I thought I would get around this by plugging in a USB-C SD card reader. As nice as that would be, you won't be able to charge your device and play off of a USB card reader simultaneously. So how did I get around that? That's where the Sabrent USB Type-C gaming hub comes into play. I purchased one of these on Amazon for around $16.99 and it served me well so far. The only downside to this is that it doesn't fit snug on the Ally, which is sort of a design flaw. However, I was able to get around that by using double-sided tape to stick the back side of the hub to the back of the Ally. I recommend using reusable double-sided tape to avoid damaging the shell of the Ally. Now, another downfall to using this hub is that when you disconnect the charger from the hub, it momentarily disconnects any device you have plugged into the additional USB-A ports. I myself haven't found this to be too big of a hassle because the device comes back online almost immediately. This hub does add 2 additional USB-A ports and I find it to be useful. This gives me the option to add an SD card or my old SSD that I installed into an enclosure, while also giving me the ability to use headphones that can be plugged in via a USB dongle, which offers me lower latency audio as opposed to using Bluetooth audio. I know there's a lot I didn't get into in this video about some of the features such as cloud streaming or local streaming from an offsite PC, and that's because others have videos on YouTube that mentions those things. If you want me to make a video about cloud streaming or have any other questions about this device, please feel free to drop a comment down below. I do read the comments and I try to reply back to as many people as I can. Now, with that being said, let's get to the question that I asked in the beginning, which is, do I think the Rog Ally Z1 Extreme is worth purchasing in 2025? I err towards saying yes, but that's just mainly for my use case scenario. If you are someone who may be purchasing this as a device that you plan to main or just really need an upgrade in battery and ports, then I would say save up your money and upgrade to the Ally X. But if you're like me and you plan to use this as an alternative to a main gaming PC, you know, something that you can pick up and play a few minutes to an hour when away from an outlet or comfortably relax on the couch while plugged in to a power source, then I would say, yeah, it's worth it. That's all for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. And with that being said, thanks a lot for watching this video. Please drop a like and a sub if you found this video to be helpful for you. And let me know what you got. Let me know if you purchased this and just kind of let me know your opinions. I'm eager to hear it. Well, that's all, folks. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.